welcome.
I'm Claire Morley, and my talk today is Accessible Creative Expression Through Small Tools, where I'd like to talk about my roots into games and how the tools that I've used have influenced the sorts of games that I've made. And I've got a few examples of the sorts of small tools that I'm talking about and how they might be used. So my background was originally scientific, but then I got into game development initially through art and then later through teaching myself to code. I also have like a main side project that I program for in Unity, but I'm really interested in using these smaller tools as well. So for context, this was my first coding project that I did, which was Decay of Terraria, also known as Grid Adventure 1, based on the map system that I used, which was a grid of tiles in Microsoft Excel. So this is all the notes I made along the way for it over the year and a half that I spent on this project. And I think the problem that I had with this was while I was learning how to code, the possibilities that I had sort of kept expanding and expanding, and I wanted to just dump everything into this project, which I think is probably happens to people quite a lot when they are maybe making their first project. But I definitely lost focus along the way. Although I did learn a lot, so it wasn't all bad. But it's turned into this sort of what would have been a 30-hour-long sort of RPG-style game with Pokemon battles and ASCII art, and I released a chapter 1 of it, so that's good. But anyway, so these are the tools that I wanted to talk about, which I started using about a year ago. So this one, Flatpak by Mark Warnicott, who might be somewhere. I'd had a lot of previous attempts at games, sort of making more like personal games, that I ended up getting frustrated along the way because I knew exactly what it was I wanted to say in them. I knew the message that I wanted. But I always got sort of stuck on technical sides of it, where I didn't quite know how to put what was in my head into the code that I was doing. And I find with these tools, you already know like what all the limitations of the tool are, so you can just focus completely on the creative side of it. And they're really quick and simple to use. And just allow you to like focus a lot more on what it is that you want to say, I think, if you don't have that much time to actually make a game. So the first time I used this, I definitely set out with a specific idea of what it was that I wanted to say, and I was able to make a game in maybe a week or so. So this is the next tool, which is Flick Game by Stephen Lavelle. So I think there's a lot of barriers in general to getting into game development, especially if you're not from a technical background. There's a lot of technical language, which makes sense that it's there, but it can be a bit alienating if you're not from a technical background. And I think knowing where to start can be quite difficult. There's also issues with confidence and motivation in someone's skills. So I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, I just can't make games, but I think everyone can make games. It's just knowing maybe what tools to use and where to start with it. But there's also issues in terms of having the time to actually put into learning some of these skills or owning the hardware to run the software that you need to make them. Which I think is where a lot of these tools really help out. So, once it's finished, see the exciting end of this game. And this is the last tool I wanted to talk about, which is Bitsy by Adam Ledoux. Yay! So all these tools, I think they're fantastic because they're all free. They're all either web or mobile based, which means that generally they're very accessible to a lot of people, especially with mobile tools, I think, because you don't need to be sitting down at your computer to use them. You could make a game on your commute to work, or if you just went out for a walk, and then that way you also get to make a game while you're outside, which is just an experience that I think lots of people should have. And it's also really good in terms of building confidence while learning how to make games, I think, because you can make things in a really small, contained way and actually finish something. And it's really quick and easy to just iterate through and prototype things, rather than the experience I had, at least, which was trying to make something really big, or even something smaller, and then just getting really frustrated along the way and getting a bit demotivated. And they're also great because a lot of them are really easy to distribute. There's platforms like itch.io, which you can just host on for free, and most of these tools have just a quick share button, so you can just download your game, upload it instantly, and then anyone can really play your game, which is fantastic. So I found that I was able to express myself a lot more easily when making games, and particularly personal games, within the limitations of these smaller tools. And obviously it does depend on the kind of game that you want to make, but I think that even if you've been making games for like 20 years, there's still benefits to using these tools, and you can find sort of inspiration from different sources while using them. So if anyone particularly is more interested in Bitsy, then Mark and I will be running a Bitsy workshop this Saturday at the start of the Game Jam. And we're also having a Bitsy summit at Scramble Shake, which is Saturday afternoon. Thank you.